Hello students, I am Dr. Naresh Kumar. I teach at the Department of Evening Studies, Punjab University, Chandigarh. Today we are going to discuss critical theories and international politics. In this lecture, we will trace the roots of critical theory and its implications in international relations. The roots of critical theories are there in the writings of Karl Marx and Engels. After that, critical theory became popular during the 1970s, 80s, and 90s. And there is no one critical theory, but there are different stands of critical theories. Critical theory actually does not say any particular thing about international relation. So today we are going to see that how critical theory is important for international relation. In other words, we will see how to how to draw the findings of critical theory and apply it in international relations according to different critical scholars. The development of critical theory in the field of international relations is one of the most significant development of the discipline evolution since 1980s. There is no single stand of theory that can be defined as critical theory. The entire corpus of thinking that combine to form diverse set of critical theory is significant because all these schools of critical thinking with difference among themselves thou have collectively rendered the mainstream theories of international relations problematic by exposing the inherent limits of positivism. The philosophical positivism, ever since its emergence at Vienna Circle in 1920s, has provided the dominant assumptions upon which mainstream theories have been constructed. Until the emergence of critical theory, the positivist assumptions had been unquestionably accepted by theorists. Such theories include not only classical version of realism and liberalism, but also their modified form neo-realism and neo-liberalism. Critical theorists believe that international system is specific construction of most powerful states and other forces in which everything is changeable and thus always historically contingent. Objective analysis of facts as simple facts which are value free, measurable and quantifiable is also meaningless. There are no immutable social laws which operate to produce knowledge and which determine the ground conditions and scientific precision and render them immune to human intervention. Instead, knowledge that is produced is inevitably biased because it is at all time tend with particular view from specific perspective. Thus, the knowledge produced always has an inclination toward one or more specific interest, value, groups, parties, classes, and so on. Without a fixed vintage point, there can be no knowledge shaping our understanding of international system. All phenomena are subject to interpretation and one's value system will determine the kind of interpretation that one will make to their phenomena. The two chief variants of this particular stand of critical theories are word system theory and historical materialism. The word system theory is concerned with the impact of globalization of the relations of production and the linkage between words, elite of the core and periphery region of distribution of words wealth. And the neo-Marxist critical theorists, particularly historical materialism, have displayed a tendency to encourage counter-hegemonic social and political movement. Word system theory. Frank and Wallenstein are sometimes not considered as critical theorists because of considerable amount of structuralism in their writing. Nevertheless, their contribution in the field of neo-Marxist critical theory is highly significant. The system of exploitation inherent in capitalism, focus point of both Frank and Wallenstein's work. Andrew Gunder Frank claimed that exploitative principle of unequal exchange and appropriation of economic surplus by the few characterize the capital system, and this is sole reason of third world's underdevelopment. According to Wallenstein, capitalism thrives and perpetuates the hierarchy and necessarily exploits the poor into further impoverishment, which is why it is incapable of ever being reformed. The only way the international system can escape of capitalism is by replacing it. Word system theory at its heart is structural theory about historical development of the contemporary world order. It is analytical, emphasis is on structural changes within the international capitalist system, and it seeks to understand how state can move from one structure position to another, that is, periphery to semi-periphery or from semi-periphery. Word system theory is clearly not Gramscian in its orientation. It does not share the goal of praxis or analytical focus or epistemological preference of historic materialism. Historical materialism is concerned with revealing existing power structure by uncovering historical suited truth claim. It tried to show how such power structure exercise a hegemonic grip over social consciousness and identity. Robert Cook is leading exponent of this school of critical theory. He began by defining the term of its context. Cook famously termed positivist theory as problem-solving theories. They are constructive by nature, biased toward maintenance of status quo, and unduly preoccupied with questions of order, stability, and continuity. In contrast, critical theory is emancipatory and its orientation is toward progressive change. It problematizes the status quo and take up questions of changes and impending shift in international system. The aim of this line of critical theory is to seek such knowledge and serve the political purpose of liberating humanity from oppression and hegemony of multiplicity of sources. It thus reiterates its basic sentiment that value-free scientific knowledge of social sciences is absurdity and serve no purpose at all. Critical theory's view of knowledge as inherently political from behavioralists and from positivists who disdain using scientific knowledge for political purpose and for pursuit of scientific values. With the typical approach of critical theory, Cook concentrates on suggesting ways by which human emancipation may be achieved despite the presence of multiple forms of power and domination. In this sense, international relation theory is decidedly revolutionary, and it explicitly and overtly seeking to overthrow the existing world political and economic system. Habermas stands as seminal figure in realm of critical theory. His basic argument is the creation of substance of idea speech situation is central to realization of emancipatory goal, which underlies the fundamental motivation of all form of post-positivist theories in general and critical theory in particular. Habermas' theory hinges on the acts of communication between among reason-driven individuals who are similarly amenable to engaging in form of universal pragmatics or discourse ethic, in which participants seek to force of better arrangement and agree that norms cannot be weighed unless they are consented everyone who stand to be affected by them. Habermas points out that truth and ethics are inherent and one's language formation and the meaning one's make of them, and thus situation of ideal speech acts can be produced which are based upon a subsistent degree of critical consensus among the participants. Therefore, a rational argument premised upon similar ethical framework has a natural capabilities of better convincing all individuals involved in the process of decision making, and thus these ideal speech acts can automatically propel individuals toward the emancipatory goal, the realization of which is central objective of critical theory. Henry Linklater declares that a bounded moral and political community, the nation state, inevitably creates others, then exclude them, and thereby decisively inhibited the unconstrained communication that is needed for achievement of the ideal speech acts. He goes on to unpack the concept of practice of sovereignty, because sovereignty restricts the capacities of outsiders to participate in discourse to consider issues which concern them, while critical theory envisages the use of unconstrained discourses to determine the moral significance of national boundaries and to examine the possibility of post-sovereign form of political life. The objective of Linklater was to move beyond the national states and ultimate political institution in which all individual loyalists must collapse. Linklater is therefore concerned with trying to develop a mode of thought which is appropriate for larger human group which inhabited the cosmopolis beyond the bounded enclosure of nation state. His theory welcomes the development of the body of human right as a powerful challenge to state sovereignty and as beginning of norm-based international society. States have from this critical perspective no absolute right to be shielded from the gaze of international public security and determined enforcement of a robust system of global norms. Irrespective of whether the decisions are taken within the immediate society of which the person is resident or the decisions are made at distant place where the person does not enjoy a representation. Although dismissed by many as utopian and empirical, Linklater argued that it is necessary to continue with the effort for embedding cosmopolitan moral ideas in human society. Critical theory and post-positivism. Critical theory became an answer to positivism, which has monopolized the field of IR for long. The emergence of critical theory was a crucial factor in the growth of post-positivist approach in general. Critical theory is dedicated post-positivist approach which want to slaves Marxian from deadening hold of orthodoxy and recover its emancipatory claim, because Marxism, in the opinion of critical theorists, and no liberalism is the true higher of enlightenment and is as such potentially equipped to rather the goal of human emancipation. Critical theory is not against enlightenment, but it opposes the liberalist ideals of progress and liberation. In the view of critical theorists, the Enlightenment ideas could have been realized had not liberalism struck an historical alliances with capitalism, as a result of which liberalism has ended up its possibility and emerged as a veiled project per excellence of oppression and marginalization. So the end point of critical theory is definitely the rediscovery of true enlightenment ideas, uncorrupted and untainted by the narrow purpose of liberalism. To this extent, it is not wrong to say that critical theory is a direct descendant of Kantian enlightenment project. Critical theory contains commonalities with postmodernism. Critical theory like postmodernism hold the meaning making is imposed on individual by construction of meta-narrative which relates concentration of power at fundamental level, thou which some symbolism, ideals and values are evaluated and others are subordinated. Thus, truth becomes a function of discursive arrangements and social realities get created through the formation of discourses. The war in Kosovo served a useful case studies to assess the problems and perspective of critical theory and its applicability in the field of international relations. Most critical theorists like Habermas, who celebrated the NATO's intervention, were full of appreciation for potentially transformative war, which seemed to have demonstrated beyond all doubt the willingness and ability of international community acting to prevent crime against humanity. Habermas publicly supported the intervention because he thought it contained within itself the possibility of progressive transformation of international system, thou through the use of multilateral power of democratic state. This particular act of violence was actually justified in order to finally reject the anarchic world of self-interest driven state and their strategic actions. Henceforth, the would only witness communicative action and not strategic action. The former is defined by absence of self-interest and power, and this marked by search of consensus about the right course of action, which is equally beneficial to all. Thus, communicative action has normative legitimacy. Such optimism, Habermas and other like-minded theorists built up a theoretical defense of Kosovo War only to discover that in place of a new normative era, the right of preemptive war and United States of America's unilateralism had been finally established. These rights undetermined the idea of progressive norm-based international order. The NATO's monologic techniques and continued policies of strategic action disappointed the critical theorists bitterly. The campaign of Kosovo could have brought about transformed world toward which critical theory works, but it failed to build a communicative consensus on which genuine progress toward emancipation can take place. Critical theory is therefore a theoretical framework capable of reflecting on nature and purpose of theory and revealing both explicit and tactic form of domination and injustice in human society. The need to overcome the sovereign state and inaugurate post-sovereign world politics will hence continue to form the central concern of critical theory in the discipline of international relations. In future, success will be determined not its abstract formulation in the realm of philosophy and historical sociology, but by the amount of high cast on present possibility. Students of international relations will have to wait and learn if the theoretical possibilities within critical theory indeed successfully changed the practice of international relations. In this lecture, we saw that how critical theory evolved as a theory in IR after 1980s. Initially, critical theory was drawing excessively from the Marxist concept, but after 1980s, it questioned the basic assumption of positivism and questioned the notion of one singular truth, and it tried to show that how grand narrative have some kind of exploitative behind it. At the same time, critical theory again and again questioned the domination of singular reality or the domination of one particular world order, and it strive to question the existing status quo.